everyone. Welcome to the podcast this Friday, and thank you for joining us. My name is Dr. Roberta Westbrook, and I am the Chief Animal Welfare and Medical Officer here at the Houston SPCA, and we're at the campus for all animals. We're here today because we have some exciting topics for you, but first, as always, I want to show you one of our wonderful pets that we have up for adoption. This cutie pie here is Harley. Harley is an adult female. She's already been spayed. She's been vaccinated. She's got all of her medical workup, and she's just waiting to find a new home. Harley came to us because her family needed to rehome her, and she just is looking for her forever family. She's about 6 years old, very sweet Chihuahua mix. Come see Harley and all of the dogs and cats and kittens and puppies that we have available for adoption. When you come to our campus, there's no appointment necessary to visit with the animals and to decide which one you may want to adopt. If you are interested in some of our farm animals, we do require an appointment for that, and there's an application to fill out on our website. But come on down, make it a family affair. Come spend some time with our pets here on our adoption floor. While you are thinking about coming to join us this weekend, also, we're going to talk today about hair loss in your pets. Frequently, we get pets wanting to visit their veterinarian because they're losing hair. They're losing fur. And there are so many causes of fur loss and hair loss in animals that I just wanted to address how we go about figuring out what's going on with these pets. How do we know how they're losing hair? So be thinking about it. Does your pet scratch a lot? Are you finding bald spots on your pet? Did you find maybe a pet on the street, a lost pet, and they're covered in fur loss or covered in alopecia, and you're wondering what that is? It's not always contagious. It's not always something bad. Most of the time it's very treatable, but I just want to go through some of the methods that your veterinarian may go through to try to figure that out. If you guys are out there and you have family or you have friends who are in the veterinary medical profession, sometimes you might send them a picture of your pet that has hair loss, and you might say, hey, what is this? And it's a picture of your pet, and maybe they've got a bald spot. You say, hey, what is this? Well, I wish we could answer it that quickly. It usually requires some sort of tests. And so it does require a visit to your veterinarian, but I would like to start with just a couple of examples. We have lots of pets here that we treat for hair loss all of the time. And so I just thought we'd show you some of our cute patients that we have here that we are going to get healthy and we are going to find them wonderful homes. This cute guy here is named Gio. Gio is so cute, and he came to us from Louisiana after the hurricane this summer. And what I love about Gio is he does have some hair loss, but he really loves little butt scratches. He gets like a little wiggly butt when you scratch his butt, and he just loves that. And sometimes they do that because they tend to be a little itchy. And so it's a really, nice, when you scratch that itch for them. And so you can kind of see back here that Gio actually has some hair loss. He has some hair loss on his legs back here and along his back. He likes that little butt scratch. And Gio has what we call flea allergy dermatitis. And so when you see animals that have a distribution of hair loss that's sometimes along the back and the butt area and the thighs, oftentimes we relate that to fleas, particularly if we see a lot of fleas on them. And so that's what we think is going on with Gio. As you can imagine, fleas are very easily treatable. It just requires a little bit of medication, either topical or oral. We can kill those fleas. They can be done with, and they can start to grow their hair back. You can also see he's got a little hair loss on his tail as well. So sometimes that can be fleas as well. What we're also concerned about in Gio that we're going to continue to test for is just allergies to things in the environment and allergies to food. Because allergies to the environment, like grasses, trees, molds, and allergies to food can also cause hair loss. And so we're going to be working with Gio to make sure that we can clear his skin up just by taking care of the fleas, but we're also going to make sure that he doesn't have an additional allergy to something in the environment or to the food that he's eating. But he's such a cute guy, and he's going to be available for adoption. So keep your eye out for Geo. Look at him. Look at that face. Say hi, Geo. Does anybody have any questions about hair loss in their own pets?
Yeah, so Maria was wondering, like Geo, for example, is there anything that you can do to provide some relief? You know, you have to see a veterinarian, but just maybe at home, there's like a soak in a tub or something like that.
Yes, great question. So things that you can do at home to try to prevent itching and hair loss. If you're suspicious that your pet has allergies, particularly to something in the environment, or if your veterinarian has already diagnosed your pet with allergies to things in the environment, when you take them on a walk, sometimes when they're walking through the grass, their paws get wet, the pollen from the flowers, from the plants gets on their paws, and it makes them more itchy, and they lick their paws, and sometimes their paws get hair loss. One of the things that I do with my own dog even is when we come in from a walk, I have those little shampooless wipes, and I wipe her paws off so that she has less allergens on her paws and she's less itchy. So you can do that. Also, bathing your pet about every 2 weeks can help. I probably wouldn't do it more frequently than every 2 weeks unless your veterinarian has instructed you to, because sometimes it's necessary to do it more frequently. But unless you've been otherwise told, every 2 weeks is usually enough. You don't want to bathe them too often because sometimes their coats get dried out. But just a good bath every so often to get all of the allergens and debris out of their coat can really cut down on the itching that might lead to hair loss. It's a great question.
Kristen was wondering if flea prevention will help prevent dermatitis.
Absolutely. So as I mentioned, in Geo, we're thinking that perhaps he has a flea allergy dermatitis, which is the hair loss along the back and the butt and the tail and the thighs. And that's a distribution of hair loss that we associate with fleas because the dogs will bite on those areas and they'll kind of pull the hair out. If we give regular flea prevention every month or every 3 months, depending on the product that you're using, if you give regular flea prevention, it prevents the fleas from biting, it prevents the fleas from getting on your pet's skin, and it prevents that itching. Sometimes if your pet has a severe allergy to fleas, it only takes one flea bite. Because what's happening is as the flea bites them, they're allergic to the saliva that the flea leaves in the skin. So it can only take one flea bite and they are just itchy and they're going at it. So flea prevention, regular flea prevention can certainly help to prevent itchiness and to prevent the hair loss.
Jacqueline was wondering if there is one preventive that you feel is better than others. Like there's some that you take once every 3 months, there's some you take every month. How do you know what's right for your pet?
That's a great question. It's very individual, depends on your lifestyle. So if you have a very busy lifestyle and you think, gosh, I don't even know if I can remember to give my pet medication monthly, there are certainly some flea and tick preventions that you only have to give every 12 weeks. So it's very easy. It's just a chewable tablet. Give it to them. You're good for 12 weeks. But if you feel like you are comfortable enough keeping your pet on a regular monthly schedule, there are both oral and topical medications that you can give to your pet, and all of them are effective. And so it just depends on what's appropriate for you and your schedule. And also some pets do better taking like an oral treat, and some do better if you just put it on the skin. Like if you have a picky pet and they might not take pills very well, and you want to use a liquid that you can put on the skin, sometimes that's a little bit easier. So thank you, Geo. We're going to take a look at another pet that's down here. And this is another sweetie that we have. Now get ready for this. It's going to be cuteness overload for a second. Hi. And so we really need to make sure that the skin over the point of the elbow is very thick. And so sometimes that area is like a callus and it loses hair there. And then in a lot of animals, that's normal. That's normal to have this callus skin that's losing hair right over the elbow. It's more of a protective type of skin. And so this is just another example of hair loss that you might see in pets. And this little girl is so cute, and we can't wait until she gets better and finds her forever home, and these puppies get better as well. So thank you, sweetheart. Thank you, sweetheart. All right. Thank you. Okay. All right. So of our pets that we have here, does anybody else have any questions that I can help you with hair loss in your pets?
Yeah, so Joe was wondering if older dogs, do they go bald like people?
Yeah, that's funny. You know what? It is possible for older pets to have thinning hair, and sometimes older pets, not only may they get thinning hair in certain areas, but sometimes it doesn't grow back as well. So if they had to get a haircut or they were shaved for some medical reason, sometimes the hair takes a little bit longer to grow back, and it might even grow back a different color. So certainly that's possible. As pets get older, though, they are more prone to diseases that can cause hair loss. So as pets get older, they're more prone to endocrine diseases like thyroid disease, adrenal disease like Cushing's, and those things can lead to hair loss as well. So if you have an elderly geriatric pet and you are noticing hair loss, first take them to your family veterinarian to get a checkup, but it's not uncommon to just have a little bit of thinning hair as they get older. Great question. Thank you so much.
Kristen was wondering if we should be worried about the mosquitoes because we have such a high population in Houston that it could possibly lead to the dermatitis.
Sure. I mean, mosquitoes bite as well. They don't tend to cause the same type of allergy. What we worry about with mosquitoes is mosquitoes will transmit a potentially fatal disease called heartworm disease. So mosquitoes will transmit a parasite that lives in the bloodstream and in the heart and lungs. And so that's the most concerning thing about mosquitoes. And there are some products that not only will prevent fleas and ticks, but will repel mosquitoes as well. So you can talk to your family veterinarian about products that can actually repel mosquitoes, and that can help prevent those diseases. We have one final adorable patient that I want to show you to help us illustrate different types of hair loss. Now for this cutie pie, I'm going to put on gloves because I'm suspicious that she has a contagious skin condition and I don't want to spread it to myself or to any other animals. And look at this cutie. Her name is Shelby. Oh my goodness. Look at this kitten named Shelby. Oh, way too cute. Shelby has a little spot of hair loss right here on her back paw. You can see that. And it's like a circular patch of hair loss. We get this fairly frequently, oftentimes from animals that were living outdoors and in unsanitary conditions. This is a spot that we think could be dermatophytosis, but you probably know it as ringworm. So ringworm is a skin condition that's completely treatable. It's completely treatable, but it is contagious to other pets and even to people. And so what we like to do with these animals is try to get them into homes, foster homes, while they get better so that we don't spread that to other animals that we have in the shelter, but it's completely a treatable condition, and it's very possible I could take Shelby home with me while she's getting better because she's so cute. And so this is another example. Now you might think that we can just look at this hair loss and diagnose it. No, that's not how it works. So make sure you see your family veterinarian because there's lots of ways that we try to figure out what's going on. It's not just the look of the animal. We do a lot of testing. So what is this handy dandy tool here? You guys have probably seen something that looks like this. It's like a blue light. Maybe if you've ever been to a club or something. I mean, I know none of us are the club going type, but if you've ever been to the club, maybe you remember that blue light. Well, this is a woods lamp. It's very similar. And so the woods lamp, when we turn out all the lights and we use the woods lamp and we put it over a spot of hair loss, if it turns a bright fluorescent green, that's one way that we can look for ringworm. It isn't 100% true test. So there are some times where it doesn't glow and it's still ringworm, but it's a very interesting kind of screening test that we do for ringworm. And so that's a woods lamp. And so your veterinary clinic may be doing a test like this. But to find other causes of hair loss like mange, we might use a different test. So sometimes we take a skin sample. We'll use a scalpel blade like this, and we scratch the patient's skin and get some of those superficial hairs and cells off. And then we put them on a slide and look at it under a microscope. That is a way that we can actually look for mites and test for mange. So we can do that test as well. And then sometimes for other types of fungus like ringworm, we can take hair samples and we can try to culture. We can try to culture dermatophytes or ringworm in these little jars. And so what we'll do is we'll pluck some of the hairs from our patient and we'll put it in a jar like this that has like a culture medium in it. And we put it in one of our drawers or cabinets and we check it every day. And then when it turns red and has like some growth in there that looks kind of, cruddy, then we can test that and see if it's ringworm. So it takes a lot. So it's not just a matter of your veterinary friend or your technician kind of taking a look at your pet and saying, that's what it is. We do lots of testing for it. And so if you notice hair loss in your pet, take them to your family veterinarian. Let us get some tests done so that we can get down to the bottom of your pet's hair loss. Any questions about any of the tests that we do or hair loss in your own pets?
Karen was wondering about when you do go to your veterinarian, when is it time to go, okay, this is something serious and I need to stay ahead of it? When should you decide to go to the veterinarian, or is it something they need to do right away?
Yes. When do you decide to go to your family veterinarian? Because sometimes you might notice a little bit of hair loss and you think, oh, I don't know if I saw that yesterday. Should I go in right now? I would certainly say if it's something new that's come up, if your pet seems bothered by it, if it seems to be getting worse, maybe you decided to wait, but over days it's getting worse. Or certainly if it's painful, those would be clues that I would take your pet into the veterinarian sooner rather than later. It's always better to be safe than sorry. So it's always better to kind of stay ahead of it. As you mentioned, see the veterinarian, make sure it's nothing, because in a best case scenario, they say, it's a scratch or scrape. Sometimes it's an old scar and the hair never grows back there. And so we'd rather have that than let it go too far. And then now we're having to do lots of treatments to get you better. So Shelby's just enjoying herself. Any other questions?
Well, this has to do with cruelty. Jack was wondering if you see a neighbor or you see an animal that perhaps may not have an owner or has an owner. When do you think it should be, because the animal is suffering, when do you think it should be reported?
Absolutely. So you're out and you see an animal roaming around. Maybe they have an injury or illness and you want to report it. It's always safer to try to get the animals off the street. So there's no harm in contacting the Houston SPCA and telling them that you're seeing a stray animal that looks sick or injured or ill, and we are happy to send our ambulance drivers out and take a look. Our ambulance drivers do a fabulous job at getting animals into the shelter and out of dangerous situations. So it's fine to report it. I think it's always a great idea to get those animals off the street, have a veterinarian examine them, and get them on their way to healthy lives.
Lori would like to know if low nutrition or poor nutrition has something to do with
Absolutely. Sometimes we get animals in with hair loss and we do all of the tests and we don't find anything. The tests are negative. Sometimes those animals just have very poor nutrition. They were living on the street. They were, having, deplorable living conditions. And so absolutely their hair can just fall out from poor nutrition. And once they get a healthy diet, we feed Hill's Pet Nutrition here. They get a healthy, balanced diet. That coat becomes shiny and fills in right away. So you're 100% correct, Lori, that once we do all of our tests and we find we're not finding anything, and maybe the animal is underweight, they're thin, you can tell that they just haven't been taken care of, we absolutely can say, you know what, I think this is a nutritional deficiency. They just need some groceries and they will gain weight and get a healthy coat in. Good point.
Jamie, this is slightly off topic, but Jamie wanted to know, do dogs' fur, I know you addressed about losing hair when they're aging. What about white or gray, like our hair changes?
Absolutely. If you have a dog as they're getting older, particularly you can tell this if they're darker colored brown or black. You can even see it in light colored dogs that they do gray, that their hair can turn white or gray as they get older. And so it's kind of an endearing thing because you can tell it's almost like they're wise, right? When they get that gray muzzle, they're just wise. And it's like they know what's going on. And so it's an endearing thing, but absolutely they can become grayer as they get older. So that's a good point about the hair. Great questions.
Patrick was wondering if, is there anything over the counter that you can use to just either detect pet allergies in advance, or is there a way to do that?
Nothing over the counter to detect pet allergies per se. Usually for us to find out whether your pet is allergic to something, it depends on the allergy that we're looking for. So sometimes the distribution of the hair loss. But if we think it's something like food, we really have to do like a food trial. We have to take away whatever food they're on, put them on a special diet, and see if when they're on that special diet, their hair grows back and they're less itchy. So that's one way to determine whether they have a food allergy. If it's something in the environment, then usually we rule out everything else. And environmental allergies causing hair loss usually get worse in the spring and summer because that's when everything's blooming. And so that's when our allergies are worse too, you might know. And so we certainly see environmental allergies get worse in the summer and spring months. And so it really is just using all those clues. Over-the-counter products are going to be most helpful to try to prevent itching and try to prevent hair loss. But again, check with your family veterinarian so that you can get the proper medication for your pet and give it at the right dose.
Well, we've got time for one more question. And Oscar was wondering if after he adopts the dog, should he go to his veterinarian just to check, is there allergy testing before there's signs of allergies?
Oh, great question. So once you adopt a pet, should you like preemptively test for it? You don't necessarily need to do that. That's not something that we typically recommend unless they're showing signs of itchiness or hair loss. It can be kind of an involved process to diagnose your pet with allergies. And so it's more difficult to try to pinpoint something if they're not having a problem. So there are sometimes blood tests that we can do, skin tests that we can do, but certainly we reserve those for pets that are having symptoms of allergies like biting at the skin, licking, chewing, scratching a lot. And it's certainly more effective that way and not necessary to do if they're not having a problem. But great question. Thank you guys so much for joining us. There's so many causes for hair loss in our pets. We see it very frequently. So if you're noticing your pet have hair loss, just know that the possibilities are actually, quite a long list. And so your veterinarian and their veterinary team are going to sort through it with a series of tests and a very thorough medical exam. And we'll get your pet on the way to having a healthy coat for the rest of their lives, hopefully. So thank you for joining us again. Please come on down to our Campus for All Animals this weekend. And if you are interested in supporting us and helping us save more animals and do what we do best, please visit houstonspca.org/donate. You can donate. You can look at our website and see what we're up to. But thank you for being a part of our family. I enjoy talking to you guys every week. Get some topics together. Let me know what you guys want to hear about. And I'm happy to address those topics. Send them on in to us. And we'll see you next week.